There we go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We are live. We are live. Still enjoying the magic of yesterday. Just it's nice. It's nice when things happen that are good and positive. Things happen according to what we want to happen, what we expect to happen, what's right to happen. Oh, hello Norma. Hello Norma. Hello Norma. I I want to talk about self-actualization. Somebody asked this question, an anonymous participant, and they said they never heard this term and they're not sure what it means. Uh, but they say, but in my opinion, fulfillment and self-actualization are the same. What is your take on this? My, First of all, let's make sure that we understand what we mean by self-actualization. Uh, because there's an implication inherent in actualization. And that implication is that we are not fully ourselves. To actualize means to bring into actuality, to bring into reality, right? That would imply that there are parts of us that aren't actually real, that aren't being used, right? That aren't turned on, as it were, aren't switched on, not being utilized. So if we look at self-actualization as turning on all of our parts, switching them on, connecting to them, and bringing them to the front, utilizing them, not having them just be there somewhere in us, but not being utilized. So we can think of self-actualization as also self-utilization, right? But all of ourselves, to use all of ourselves. And that means in Way-of-Impeccability language, Nobelia language, right? Just our language here of the chats, that we are now going to connect to our moreness. Yes, we are what we are, but there's more to us. And when we connect to that, we connect to our moreness. Now, when we say connect to there's more to us, well, that could mean anything. It could mean there's a dark side to me that I'm connected to. That's why I use the term moreness. Because when I connect to my moreness, a moreness is not my evil side, my ability to commit mayhem and whatever, right? That could be when I connect to the parts more. Well, that's more, but it's not moreness, right? And somebody had an issue with me saying moreness and this word moreness. Well, it's not a real word. Well, it is. Absolutely is. Right? You understand language, you just take a word, you add the suffix, and then it gives it a different meaning. And here's a good example of why I say moreness, because moreness cannot be negative, whereas more can. More is just quantity, yes, addition. So it can easily be negative, right? There's more to me than meets the eye. That doesn't mean it's positive. Yes, could be negative too. But my moreness that I'm not utilizing, that's a different issue. My moreness is depth, extra qualities, things like discernment. Yes, we have the ability to perceive and understand, but doesn't mean we have discernment. So, what is the difference between discernment and regular perception and understanding? It is discernment enables us to see the layers, the moreness. Likewise, when it comes to ourselves, we need to apply that discernment to ourselves to see that extra layeredness, that extra depth that we possess, right? So we have all of this within us. We have moreness, we have fantastically good qualities that we have, but we don't necessarily utilize them. You say, but why? Why don't we use our moreness? First of all, we're not always aware that they exist, like discernment. We just go along and, well, we get along more or less okay, with our perceptions and ways of looking at things. We don't think that there is a better way or a way that yields more to it. We just don't imagine it because it doesn't come at us, right? And it's not there. So we have to become aware of things, which is why I keep saying that magical uh, power triangle of awareness, discernment, and understanding. And the center of that, the lines leading up to it, like a peak, like it's the base, yeah, is application. So we need to become aware that there's more to us. Right? Then we need to discern that moreness, to really look at the depths of it, all the layers of it. What all does this involve, this moreness that we have, in whatever way that is? It could be to our perception, like I said, or our understanding, which, discernment, but also it could be something just to our kindness, our goodness, to say, wow, wait a second, what do you mean like is more? Well, for instance, like love. Yes, as Norm is so fond of saying, all we need is love. No, it's not true. It really isn't. Sorry. We need to have love with awareness. If you just have ordinary, regular love and you go about, you could cause a lot of trouble. Love a narcissist, and what do? You make them into more of a narcissist, see, causing trouble. So we can't just love without awareness. We have to have love with awareness. And that's what I mean, moreness. See? Now we take our love and we really enhance our love. We're looking at our love in a greater context, not just in a small bubble context. And that's awareness. See? Now we've added awareness and discernment. I understand now. And we get that capital U understanding, Nobelia understanding, because we've tapped into all of that extra moreness, right? It's very simple in this case, but sometimes it's much more. It's like the picture behind me here, right? Got some complexity to it, but it can be done. It's not a big deal. And it's very joyful to do so. It's a real power. Now we get to accessing this moreness within ourselves and to actualize. Way of Impeccability, which is what I'm all about. This group is founded on the core. If you're going to look in the group description, you'll see. Yes, it is self-awareness, self-improvement, uh, um, um, self-discovery, but all in the context. The group's point and purpose is everything in the context of Way of Impeccability. Yeah? Now, in the context of Way of Impeccability, we take that awareness and that discernment and that understanding, and like I said earlier, it gets connected to application. Without application, it's all meaningless. And this is the difference. You'll see tons and tons of advice and, well, first of all, in Way of Impeccability, you won't get any advice. You'll get tools. And it's up to you to use them. I can't say you must or must not. That's up to you. I can't tell you what house to build, what person to be. Absolutely not. This is impossible, right? Uh, Not just impossible, it's ineffective. It won't work. And many people try and do this, but if you actually succeed in taking the advice, you'll end up living their lives, not your own. So, Way of Impeccability is extremely sophisticated and astute in terms of self awareness, self improvement, self discovery. It provides you the tools to do this yourself. No one can tell you to do it. This is idiocy and this is ego, right? And you see many self improvement programs and courses and books and stuff. They're coming from an ego perspective. Look how clever I am. I'm going to tell you how to live. Look how wise I am. Look how smart I am. No, 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 no. Don't believe a word I say. Don't believe a word I say. Assess it for its own merits. Hopefully, what I'm sharing is self evidently sensible. And then you take it from there. Right. Now we get back to our self actualization, which means there has to be a doing of some kind of application. I love this, that in our modern world now, application apps, it's a big thing. It's all over the show, right? But we need to apply this for ourselves too, right? And that's why it's that power triangle. You've got awareness, attunement, appropriateness, massive big power triangles, the core of the center of this A plus philosophy that everything comes from. But the fourth part of that is application, the 4 A's, right? You start with appropriateness, you go attunement, awareness, those tie all together, down again into, much like you see all these things are tying together here, right? And this similarly, application. If you don't apply this, it means nothing. And now we come to self-actualization. You need to actualize, which means brings it into real life. Switch it on, turn it on. In other words, use it. Use it. Make it an application. Apply it. Put it into action. Apply it, right? Now let's take something like patience. Yeah, well, eh, I could be patient, I guess, but it's a lot of hassle, a lot of effort, And well, actually, men don't even have thought of why you aren't patient. It's like, well, is there any real good reason to be impatient? Not really. Yeah. So this is a shift. Now we say, well, how do I actualize my patience? Ah, this is a very good question. This is a very good question. Well, effort, intent, making the point to do so, um, practice, repetition, and all of these things are mechanisms that you can use to actualize a particular quality. Yes. And this is where, in Way of Impeccability, I'm going to come on to another way to actualize. Let me get back to what I was saying. I interrupted myself there. To get back to, in Way of Impeccability, each participant creates their own dictionary of power. And this is where that dictionary of power becomes so vitally useful. If you just, like today, I'm going to be reading one of the chapters from my next book, which is Ask Biella, questions answered, book one, right? So we're busy reading from book two already because book one is ready to be published. So we're just going through them because I'm checking. But as I go through these articles, right, and you pay attention, you'll see the power terms. They all have their own emphasis in them. Typically, I capitalize the power terms like patience, right? Because that's something that's from the dictionary of power. It's in my dictionary of power. I want to have patience. This is a power quality. It means a lot. Hello, 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 Norma. Hello, 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 Norma. I have to say hello to Norma. I have to say hello to Norma. It's marvelous. I love that you're here, Norma. Always, always, every day. Every day. And I appreciate that you are here on a regular basis. People have lives, stuff happens, and we can't always be there. But I appreciate that you're here. Now, I was saying about the dictionary of power, right? So, in order to actualize ourselves, we need to have some idea of what all it needs to be actualized. Because, well, I never really thought about discernment. I mean, yes, I kind of know what the word is, more or less, but I never really thought I needed to bring this into my life to actualize it. And let's take patience as a better example. Everybody understands what patience is, but if you ask the average person, do you have patience? And you probe a little bit more. There's a common perception or understanding or perspective on it that, well, you can't really have patience. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Right? We have been conditioned through the superiority paradigm to accept crappiness as part of our being. Why? Because those that perpetrate, those that are push out this cultural thing, they do want to excuse themselves. Right? Narcissistic culture, power culture. Yes, you don't want people who are good. You don't want people that are together if you're looking to control them and be in power. Keep in mind, our culture comes from a feudal culture, right? Not too long ago, we had feudal system in charge, right? And what were they doing? They were subjugating the peasants, right? Yes, technically they were free, but of course they're being manipulated and abused to essentially be free slaves, or slaves that are willing slaves, not free slaves. Yeah, well, free, yes, you don't have to pay for them, but you also you don't have to guard them and watch them, right? So you control them through manipulation. And if they are, crappy people who don't have their stuff together, who aren't self-actualized, who accept being crappy as normal. Yeah. Well, if you're going to make yourself into abusable from this acceptance, well, there you go. See, So it's a genius system of corruption. It's horrible. I mean, it's still very clever, right? But it doesn't mean we can't see through it. And we need to do this. But people do this because they've been sold on the idea of ego. Yes. Their ego says, well, I don't want to admit that I'm crappy. So what do? I make crappiness normal, and now it's okay. No, it's not. It's still crappy, whether you've normalized it or not. Say, well, but everybody's crappy. Yeah, well, everybody is. Yeah, our typical average way of being is not very good. It's not very helpful. Doesn't get you very far. People struggle and they're unhappy and miserable and they have all sorts of issues. They're not patient, and so they have to suffer impatience, for instance, intolerance, all sorts of nonsense, right? This is all the culture that's trying to sell you on this idea that to be full of nonsense is okay. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's absolutely is not. Yeah. And so just make that effort to now say, wow, I don't have to be this way. That's the first step. I don't want to be that way. Oh, second step. I can do something about it. Oh, third step. What can you do about it? Simply make the effort to change. That's all. And once you realize that you can change, and you look back and you're saying, well, have I changed? Well, of course you've changed. You're not a baby anymore. So now you can say, well, I have changed. Ah, that means I can change. Oh, yippee, right? Which means I will change. Once you accept the idea, and not even an idea, the reality that you are able to change because you have changed in the past. Change is part of life, right? So now change is not this big difficult thing. It's just a matter of making that little bit of effort to do it. It's not even that much effort. Actually, if we switch it around and we start to understand and use philosophy of opposites in some way, which reminds me, let me just add there, yes, change is fun. Change is fun. Don't think of it as difficult. You've been taught that change is difficult in this superiority paradigm culture. Why would that culture try and get you to have this idea that change is difficult? Well, if you're a willing slave, yes, you don't want your slaves thinking they can change, which because if they change, then they stop being accepting all of this abuse. Yes, all in the feudal lord's favor. It's like everything is done for him, and he must do things for others. Uh, he benefits, you don't, and somehow they made this right, made you accept this complete, absolute inequality for no good reason whatsoever, right? And now, of course, if you make this culture, this policy, this idea, and you press it. Oh, change is difficult, change is effort. You're now appealing to our inherent sense of conserving our energy. Yes. It's a fantastic manipulation. So of course you don't change, right? And if you don't change, then you stay the willing slave, being abused and manipulated. I have to pay attention, people. I have to pay attention. And now we get back to our self-actualization. What can I actually do to make things work? Well, just do your homework, do your research, make the effort. Once we grab an idea and grab a point, like being patient, and you start to think about it, right? So Way-of-Impeccability has two profound power tools. They're really toolboxes almost. When you start to use them, they lead you to more tools. Very simple tools. One is thinking things through to the end. When you write it down, all capitalized, hyphenated, and to the end is in all caps. Yeah. You must think it through to the end. It's like when you run an experiment. Well, if you don't think it through to the end, it's not going to work. Same thing. If you build a car, if you don't finish it to the end, same thing. Your car's going to have problems, right? Or at least it won't be completed. Yeah. So it's like building an intricate watch. Or, like behind me. Let's assume that's some complex. If you don't, you go 99%. You leave out that one little tiny gear. Oh, it's only a small little tiny gear. No, doesn't work, right? Take out the tiniest gear in a watch, it stops working. It's not superfluous in there. So we have to understand this, thinking things through to the end. If you don't think it through to the end, you can have this idea that it's okay, but it's like love, right? If you don't think it through to the end, you just have love. And this is a very common perception. I blame the Beatles, right? That song of theirs, love, 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 love is all you need. No, Beatles, it's not, right? It's that whole 60s culture that at that time is still very influential. New Age movement, same thing. This idea is very influential. Why? Because people don't think things through to the end. I'm not against love, obviously, yes, but I am saying pay attention, go a little further. Don't just assume because something seems good that it is so. Go to the end, check it, check it. Love is a good thing, but love without awareness is terrible, right? So yes, love in most cases is good, but in those times when it is inappropriate, it causes tremendous trouble, right? So we have to understand this. We have to understand this, right? Thinking things through to the end. Now, if we take patience and we start thinking it through to the end, you've got to think it from all angles. And now we start to use our second power tool, which is perspective shifting to multiple perspectives, not just from black to white. No, shift to seeing all the colors. We don't do this in our lives. We're so caught in this idea, this mentality of opposites that it's either this or that. Well, that's again culture trying to make you see things in very simplistic terms. And no, it's just completely not accurate, right? There's many things that don't have direct opposites. Yes, I mean, yeah, black and white. Yes, the colors, right? It's just like duh. But we tend to like to think in this idea. Oh, I'm a black and white thinker because it comes from right or wrong, because people want to have that clarity. Many things have, it depends on the situation. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not. A lot of things are like that. People want to avoid this complication. Why? Because they taught that when things are a little bit more complex, oh, that's difficult, that's a problem, and and now you're gonna feel stupid. And so again, culture makes you stupid. This culture of superiority and ego, it makes you stupid because you don't want to learn because you're afraid of being wrong. You're afraid of being foolish. You're afraid of the awful truth that says you're a knucklehead. We're all bloody knuckleheads. That's just the reality of it. Do you want to truly stay a profound, really knucklehead, or you want to be less of a knucklehead? It's your choice. Hang on to your ego that says, oh, I don't want to change. I don't want to learn because I'm going to look bad. You already look bad. And just by the fact that you think this, it's very clear and obvious that you are clinging to your knuckleheadedness, which makes you a bigger knucklehead, right? So if we change for the better, how do we handle past memories we don't like? Norma, I'm going to answer your questions in a moment. I just want to finish my whole point here about self-actualization. So we take these two tools and we apply them to self-actualize and actualize our qualities, say like patience. We think it through all the way to the end. Is this viable? Is this a good use of my energy? Is this worthwhile to have impatience? Yes. Does it benefit me? No. What else does it mean? And I start perspective shifting. Yes, to multiple perspectives. Now, okay, I want to go through the whole thing of patience. It's something we do on when we're doing Way of Impeccability, right? This is what the live sessions are all about. This is how you learn. Yes, because you're thinking about it, you're making a point about it, you're internalizing it. I'll just kind of skip to the end on this one. And we start to connect to impatience. What does impatience mean? It means I expect the world to operate on my timetable. Oh, crap. What are the implications of that? The implications are I want the world to operate on my timetable. And that's kind of arrogant, isn't it? Well, not kind of arrogant. It's like, it's absurdly arrogant. Oh my God, I don't want to be arrogant. See, now we get to strategy, one of the tools of Way of Impeccability. Yes. Now that I understand, because I've thought things through, and I see the connection between impatience and arrogance, they are profoundly linked. You can't escape it. You can't be impatient and not be arrogant. That's it. It's just impatience is a way to demonstrate and apply and be arrogant. Oh, but I don't want to be arrogant. I can't be arrogant. I hate arrogance. I don't want to be arrogant. Cool. Now I use my internal desire not to be arrogant to leverage myself via association management, which is another power tool, go in the dictionary of power. Yes, through association management, I've associated impatience and arrogance, which means every time I'm impatient, I'm also arrogant and I can't be arrogant, so I stop being impatient. Yeah, very clever. Yes, very clever. Now, when we learn to do difficult things, we can make them a lot easier by applying strategy. That's a very strategic there. Self-leverage. So I want to add this concept to the anonymous participant that was asking about self-actualization. Learn to self-leverage. Then you're going to make your self-actualization much easier, because self-actualization is the implementation of good qualities, desirable qualities. Qualities, traits, abilities, skills, doesn't matter. I mean, how you say, is patience a skill? Is it an ability? Is it a trait? It's all of those, right? So when we apply these and utilize them, that's the key. And use these tools of thinking it through to the end, multiple perspective shifting, learn to be strategic, and there's many other tools, but it simply requires you to start. You may have no clue, but once you start and assume that you can, you'll find out all the ways to do it, right? It's just the way the brain works. It's quite magical. Many of these things aren't very hard to do. We can figure it out ourselves. We simply have to make the effort. And that's the key to self-actualization, is simply accepting, not believing, accepting that you can, not believing, because belief is something that may or may not be true. Yes, that's a belief. I know a lot of people that are in faith. To them, their belief is a fact, but it may be, you may be treating it as if it's a fact. It doesn't make it a fact. It's just you treating it as a fact. The reality is it's not. That's why it's called belief. Yes. It's fascinating to me how people just, they use the word, I have belief, I have faith, and they treat it as a fact. It's not a fact. Yes. You can treat it as a fact. Yes. And you can do this strategically, but you can't actually completely just take it for granted or assume that it is a fact. That gets you into trouble at some point, right? Because it's a poor mental strategy when you do that, right? Can corrupt you because you lose sight of things. Um, hey, where'd your comments go, Norma? I was seeing more comments there. All right, so I just want to say, so self-actualization means getting in touch with qualities, skills, abilities, mindsets, perspectives, attitudes, etc. All of our inner things that make us who we are. But we are going to self-actualization by implication, as I've laid out. It is connecting to those traits, qualities, skills, etc. All these. Let's assume this is the person back there is doing self-actualization. That's very interesting. I chose this background because it's in the article that I'm going to read, the chapter, but it actually represents self-actualization really well. We have all of this stuff inside us. We need to connect to it and bring it to the front, turn it on, switch it on, learn how to use it. That's it. We have patience in us. We just need to learn how to use it. That's all. It's very simple. It's like any other skill. You just have to learn how to use it. But we assume we don't have it. No, you have it. You just haven't actualized it. All of the other points in our, whatever you want to call, any quality that you wish to bring to the front, any skill, any mindset, you already have it. You just have to practice using it and get to using it. Yeah, it was very, very powerful point in self-actualization. All right, now let me respond to marvelous Norma's marvelous questions and comments. Hang on, Norma. Where did your other comments go? I only see one. I'd seen two earlier. Did you delete a comment? Please don't, Norma. My brain was like really keen to do that, and now they're gone. Dang it. What was the other comment there that I started reading, Norma? My brain is like, it started on it, and it was a cool comment. It was very cool. Oh, dear. I know Norma today. I'm sorry, no Bina today. I assume, that it's Ramadan there, the month, and I accept that something is working. Oh, you talk about memories. You said something about memories. What did you say about memories, Norma? Exactly. Wow. Perspective shifting. Perspective shifting is a power tool like none other. It is the most incredible thing that simply by moving our position and looking at something from all of the angles, we come to understand more than we would otherwise. It's a very simple tool to use. You just move yourself. Now, physically, of course, this is, very simple, but it is mentally. Do the same thing. Look at it from the top, from the bottom, look at it from different angles. Yeah, right? Yes, perspective shifting is an incredible, incredible power tool. Yes. And Norma says, change is part of growing. Plants are better full grown than seedlings. Yes, indeed, Norma. Yes, indeed. What did you say about memories, Norma? What was the first part of that? You said something about memories. Like, how does it connect to memories? You know, well, I'm not sure what you mean, but just in terms of connecting memories to anything, mostly I'm assuming that memories means troublesome memories. How do we deal with troublesome memories, right? Perspective shift on it. We look at troublesome memories as being painful, horrible, unpleasant. We don't want them, and essentially one angle that we're looking at it is negative, right? Now let's shift angles. Let's say, yes, this wasn't nice, but was there some good in it? Okay, let's just take, for example, I didn't answer fully, Norma, but don't delete the comments. They matter to people watching, you see. And then if I refer to it and somebody comes and watches the video later and they don't see the comment, they don't know what I'm talking about, right? So it's very helpful. So yeah, please don't remove them, Norma. Please, please, please. Um, and also, I see them, and I was wanting to come back to it. And there was another comment, not just a memory one. There was another one that you'd made. Anyway, so your answer said that how do we react to the memories of past then? See, I'm still not sure. But anyway, let me talk about memories. And when we look at a negative memory and we say, well, I don't want to deal with a negative memory, you can't avoid it. And it always stay in your mind. The only way to avoid it is to come to understanding. So let's apply our power tools, awareness, discernment, understanding, right? And we say, first of all, let me be aware that a negative memory can be more than a negative memory. Just because it wasn't nice doesn't mean there was some lesson involved, some good involved, right? So understand it. For instance, let me take something where somebody's been really horrible to you, yes, and you can't forgive them. Forget forgiveness, throw it out the window. Forgiveness is a bit of an oxymoronic idea to me. I call it square circle logic, right? A square circle is something you can imagine, but you can't implement. You can't draw a square circle. You can talk about it, imagine it, you can't draw it, right? So it's an idea that we believe in. And the actual story of this, how I came to this square circle thing, was that it was a hypnosis experiment, and they hypnotized people, said we're going to bring you out of hypnosis, and it was post hypnotic suggestion. Someone's going to do something, and suddenly you remember these square circles, and you're going to draw it, right? And they were making a point that post-hypnotic suggestion is the experiment was to prove that it's real and it does work. This was, back in the early days of when the stuff wasn't necessarily proven and accepted, right? So it was to demonstrate it was. But then when the people started drawing the square circle, right, this is the part that grabbed me and came to square circle logic. They kept trying to draw that square circle. And they got really, really upset that they could not draw it. But I saw it, and and they got really, really bothered, and they had to be put back in hypnosis because it was starting to be a real problem. Think about this. So I called it square circle logic. It wasn't an experiment. This was my takeaway from it. I called it square circle logic. It really had a profound effect on me, and it was a secondary effect that the lecturer and the entire class, nobody and everybody, this is obviously something they repeated every year, nobody had ever seen the moreness that was involved. They didn't look at the implications. The implications to me from a psychological point of view, and it horrified me that, hey, you're teaching psychology and you don't see this. The implications are that people could disrupt their lives severely through the implementation of a belief that could not be true. Square circle logic. We see it in our lives all of the times. Look around you, right? We believe things that cannot be true, and then we get upset when they don't work. It's like, really? They don't get implemented. It doesn't happen. I can't implement this. And like trying to make an actual effort, right, to do something that cannot be. Fascinating psychology. And it's common. It's really common. So I call it square circle logic. So be careful. Pay attention to square circle logic. So when we come back to the memories, it's all right, Norma. It's all right. I just love your comments, Norma. I feel deprived when you remove them. It's like you give me a present and then you take it back again. Oh, I love your comments, Norma. I love your comments. Yeah. Yeah. No. Don't worry about interrupting me because Norma, those comments are valuable for the replay. You see, so there's no problem. Please, doesn't interrupt me at all. Um, I can always go back to where I was. I have good skills in that regard. So when we come back to the square circle idea that our past is only negative, the memories, and right, because it's unpleasant, I assume it's also bad. I want to avoid it. No, we need to get out of this idea. It's a square circle idea. It doesn't bring us any value, and it's not actually true, and it can't exist like this. What happened is, in some way, you've got to figure out how to extract the good out of it. If you don't come to understanding on it, which is the good part, is maybe understanding, even if you're understanding that, hey, somebody was really mean and horrible to you and they're a mean and horrible person. Well, I don't want to accept that mean and horrible people exist, and not only exist, but exist in my life. Uh, well, that's an awful truth. See, we get back to that power tool that I mentioned very obviously. We need to develop the ability to face and deal with the awful truth. If we don't, it's always going to plague us, bother us, be a pain in our backside. No. So what we got to do is face it and deal with it and turn it into the awesome truth. And that we do through awareness, discernment, and understanding, right? So we take this idea and say, wow, this person was really horrible. At the time, I was really involved and connected to them. But look now, how many ever years later? Are they still in your life? No, they're not in your life. You're able to survive it. You're able to get past it. And did it make you more aware? Yes, it made you a lot more aware about things that you don't necessarily want to be aware of. But you know what? That's life. There's stuff that we don't want to be aware of, but we need to be, because if we're not, they're going to come and smack you. They're going to come and hurt you, right? So when we understand this, and also when we understand the psychology, and really think that through, you're going to end up with understanding the superiority paradigm and how this system, which is a terrible system, it can obviously do. If you have a terrible system and it's producing things, what is it likely to produce? Terrible people. Like, duh. Yes. So we live in a terrible system, and this is the magic of good people. They resist the system, which is the universe telling you, don't accept, don't accept, learn to create yourself, be your own individual. It's a magical, marvelous system for putting a bit of pressure on us to actually claim our own individuality. Yes, for ourselves. It's a fantastic system. When we see the greater goodness of it, it's like, wow, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty incredible. Yeah. Yes, we are stupid. We are ridiculously stupid and ignorant. That's life. You start off ignorant. You have to learn it all for yourself from nothing. Yeah, to make it your own. If you would just put all the stuff in your head, you'd just be a program, and you'd have no individuality, you have no thought, no consciousness, no choice, right? So all goes in there. Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you, Norma. Thank you, Norma. Deliberately Unbound says hello all. Hello, Deliberately Unbound. That's very nice to see you here. Magical. Very cool. All right. So now on a related topic. Hmm. Uh, I'll come to the related topic in a moment. So it was something I wanted to share with Deliberately Unbound, but I'm not sure what it is right now. Um, in the case of self-actualization, it there's the implication that we need to turn on ourselves, but the deeper implication is that we don't know what there is to us to turn on, and this is where the dictionary of power comes into being, right? And pay attention to yourself too. Like I say, pay attention to the world around you, and you say, oh, I just heard this term, this concept, this idea, like self-actualization. Go add it into your dictionary of power. And that person, I forget now, they had another concept that was there, right? Fulfillment. Yes, add it in dictionary of power. Now, part of your dictionary of power, like a dictionary, is not just a list of the words, right? It's an explanation of what they are. make the effort to say, when you first put the word in there, say what you think it is, right? Right next to it in the connecting column there. Say, well, what do you think? What does this mean to me? Right? Even if you have no clue what it is, just roughly, more or less, right? And then as you start thinking about it, as you think it through to the end, as your perspective shift on, you come to a new understanding. Write it again. I keep thinking, apply it now, start using it, and come back. And each time, don't remove the old understandings. They're very useful when you look back because you see the growth of your awareness, the growth of your understanding, the growth of your discernment, the growth of your application. You see that development. It's very useful to understand psychology, right? And how we come from not having a clue to really having a sophisticated, detailed understanding. When you see your path repeatedly in all of your entries, it's a tremendous boost to your confidence and self-trust, and self-acceptance, self-awareness. All of these you're going to need for self-actualization, right? So this is the magic of Way-of-Impeccability. It doesn't require you to believe. It provides tools and skills that are easily utilizable. Just have to do it. Make your dictionary power, do the entries, think it through. It's very simple, very simple. But through actually doing it, the brain, the nodes get activated, things change. And by emphasis and it's profoundly exciting. You get really excited and empowered. Your brain literally rewires, right? Now, when we get to those negative memories, and deliberately unbound will be able to absolutely tell you this. Once you truly, truly understand it, you end up where you get resolved because you understand it. You see how it all worked. It was what it was. And if you see that, hey, you know what, this is very unpleasant, it's very miserable, I don't ever want to do that again, but I did learn my lessons. I did get some good from it. And I understand, hey, sometimes it's just, well, bad luck too. Yes. But there's always some good we can get out of it, right? The good of understanding, the good of awareness. If nothing else, you can get the good of understanding a terrible mindset, a terrible psychology, so that should it be in the future, you won't get pulled into that, right? So surviving and getting through negativity helps us to prevent it happening again. Yes. So there's tons and tons of good that we can get out of it. It doesn't change the fact that it wasn't nice. However, when we understand fully that that pressure of the suffering of the not nice, it goes away because we understand now. And that's how we make peace with it. We make peace through understanding. And then the memory doesn't have that negative flavor to it. It's like your subconscious is pressing you with a negative memory to say, there's more to this, there's more to this, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. When you do pay attention and you resolve it and you figure it all out, you come to understanding, the the pain part goes away. It's just understanding, right? And when we understand, for instance, when it comes to forgiveness, when you understand there's nothing to forgive, forgiveness becomes irrelevant when you understand. Very simple, right? Or other motives, not just forgive, other moods and stuff like this, right? Because sometimes forgiving, when somebody does something unforgivable, how do you forgive that? It's unforgivable, right? So you understand that they caught up in a bubble of just complete ignorance, unawareness, poor motivations, etc., etc. When you understand it is what it is, yes. The lion wants to eat me. I'm not resentful of that fact. I'm not angry at the lion for wanting to eat me. Uh, I don't want to be eaten. I'll take efforts not to be eaten, but I don't hold it against the lion. The lion is just the lion. That's what the lion does, right? All right, deliberately about. See you soon. See you soon. Yeah, there was something I wanted to share with you, but I don't know what it is now. But we'll get back to that. Um, let's see. No, you never interrupt my flow, Norma. I can get back to my flow. So anyway, anonymous participant, I hope that answers your question about self-actualization. It is first being aware that there's more to us than we realize, right? We don't work the way we think we do. The world doesn't work the way we think it does, right? So there's more to us. That's first step to be really understand. Oh, yeah, there's more to us. Okay, cool. And that moreness can be all sorts of stuff, but really the exciting part is that there's a moreness to us, not just more to us, but moreness, which means positive good, useful, fun, joyful, excellent, awesome, etc. Well, you have to connect to it. That's it. And it's not impossible, it's not difficult, it's not improbable, none of that. You've been taught that learning is difficult. Well, of course, the feudal lords are going to say learning is difficult and unpleasant and miserable. They don't want their peasants to learn. They want them to stay ignorant and fearful and doubting and lack self-confidence and all of the stuff. Well, because it makes them easy to manipulate, and they stay willing slaves. Don't be a willing slave. Don't be a willing slave, right? Now, we obviously don't have that same peasant culture. Things have changed. Yes, we don't have that circumstance. But much of that culture still survives, right? Because we're still in the superiority paradigm. Yes, those who are feeling superior, they don't want you to be smart. They don't want you to be, because then if you also get to be, you may be smarter than them, you may be more efficient, more effective, whatever, and you may be better than them, and then they'll be worse than you. And oh my God, calamity, end of the world, I'm worse than somebody. This is the idiocy, the absolute mindless, stupid, crazy, ridiculous, insane idiocy of the superiority paradigm. I don't want other people to be good. Well, you're going to live with a lot of people around you that aren't good. Oh, wow, lovely. Yes, I feel great because I'm better than them. Yeah, but you're living with terrible people. You're living with people that aren't, doesn't matter, right? I call it shit pile logic. Yes. They say, oh, I'm king of the shit pile. Dude, king dude, uh, you know what? You're living in a shit pile. You realize that, right? Yes, but I'm king. You're living in a shit pile, dude. Yeah, but I'm king of the shit pile. Dude, it's a shit pile. You're living in a shit pile. Yeah, but I'm the king. You can't reason with it, right? It's so stuck, so conditioned to believe being king is the be all and end all, even if it's king of the shit pile. And that's typically what it is, right? Look at all dictatorships. Yeah. I mean, look at North Korea. Like, what are you the leader of there? What is the value there? Miserable country, or you're surrounded by people who are fearful, miserable, suppressed, got no individuality, they brainwashed, all the stuff. A terrible place to be in. Yeah, craziness, craziness, craziness. Yeah. So, but let's not fall into that craziness on a small scale. Yes. To in our little bubble world to try and be a dictator in the same way, right? And even applying it to ourselves. Don't buy into this psychology, alternative paradigm. This is what I'm doing in every single open that I have like this. And I like to call them the open instead of alive. My opens are live. So open is a better word. Thank you, Norma. Any one of these opens, I'm sharing an alternative paradigm, different ways of thinking, different ways of interacting, different ways of connecting, different ways of being. Yes, I'm not here for anything that has to do with any superiority paradigm issues. I'm not looking for likes, or I don't care if you like me or not, approve of me or not. It's totally irrelevant to me. I'm here to share. That's it. Just to share. Gives me joy. Yeah. Yeah. It's a very simple thing, but very profound at the same time. Yeah, yeah. I'm glad I'm seeing your comments come in live in real time. Facebook must have fixed whatever that issue was. So that makes me very, very happy to see, Norma and well, and deliberately unbound too. Yeah. All right. Let me, wow. That self-actualization, it's a big topic, So I hope the person sees this. I can't tag them because they're just anonymous participants, so I can't tag them to look at this. But I did put in the comments there for them to come and look at this. All right, so let's continue our reading. Let's continue our reading. Norma, you gotta come on Zoom one day, and you don't have to put your camera on. Just come on Zoom. Can have. Don't even have to have a picture. Just be anonymous if you want to, and come and read for us. You have a very wonderful, lovely voice. It'd be nice if you were to read this. It'd be very nice. And is there any reason not to do it? Nope, nope. Unless you believe superiority paradigm stuff. See, don't believe it. Do what you want to do. I'd love to hear you come and read, and love to have you here. It'd be great joy. All right. What are we on? chapter 6. This is chapter 6 of book 2 now. Ah, that's a nice picture. Right? Look at that. It's representing either the questioner or Biella. It's thoughtful thinking about things, right? Yeah. And look at what they're thinking about here, right? Societal sensibility. What can we do to move the world towards sensibility? Isn't this just absolutely appropriate in terms of a segue to what we've been talking about? Yeah. I, again, there's no planning to it. Just attunement. Just magic happens. We need to pay attention to it, right? This was determined yesterday. This chapter was determined yesterday. The question came between then and now. A person's not connected to this reading. They asked the question. It happens to connect, but the world is much more connected than we think it is. So I love this art behind me, showing that interconnectivity and all the marvel and magic and wonder and mystery of it. It's fantastic stuff. Brilliant. All right. Norma says, okay, we'll do. Ah, Norma, you make me happy. This would be such a joy to have you reading. And I like to listen also, so I like Bina to read. And Bina likes to read because she likes to practice her reading also, right? And, Bina's English, yeah, so now and then, there's the grammar a little bit here and there, or pronunciation. But she's incredibly articulate, despite not having perfect grammar, despite messing up pronunciation every now and then. She's incredibly articulate. It's a great lesson. It's a great lesson for us. Pay attention. Don't let when you hear the grammar, the accent, the pronunciations, all this, don't let that make you think that the person doesn't is not articulate and is not communicating. No, Bina is an excellent communicator, and she's very articulate, and she is very sophisticated in her language usage. Uh, uh, in pure communication terms, Bina's utilization of English is better than most native English speakers that I know, because she has an understanding of the range of conceptions. In other words, from the dictionary of power, her vocabulary when it comes to utilization in this context that we're talking about, self-improvement, etc., living the world, connectivity, understanding. Because through Way of Impeccability and Dictionary of Power, it's given her power, the power to be articulate and to be able to, capital C, communicate. Yes? Nobelia communication. It's a big deal. It's not just regular communication. Regular communication, we just need the transfer of data. Capital C communication, we're looking to transfer much more than data. We're looking to transfer conception, understanding, application, implementation, change, difference, all sorts of stuff, right? Moreness, 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 Moreness. All right, let's read chapter 6, Societal Sensibility. What can we do to move the world towards sensibility? I feel like this could be a question from Norma. Yes, or Deliberately Unbound. It could be a question from them too. Yes. I feel this is a question that can come from anyone in the group. Yes, it seems to be like a group question. It seems like this is a question that we are continually asking. So this is a question from everybody, and just see dear Q for questioner, right? We're all questioners, so it just happens to be Q. Dear Q, I don't know if this person's name was Q, and I just used the initial. Typically in the Ask Biella, I use Biella uses the full name. So I'm assuming Q here then is for the uh, to abbreviate questioner. Dear Q, it's always been the process of social evolution to move towards a greater sensibility, even if it seems very slowly. But just take this as transformative for me. It's always been the process of social evolution to move toward greater sensibility. We don't think so. But when you say it, uh, it's like, well, duh. You have to be very careful with this. Very powerful tool from Way of Impeccability. Duh. Duh is a positive. When the obvious becomes obvious, we've gained something. You say, yeah, but but it was obvious. Yes. It was only obvious once it became obvious. It was not obvious until it became obvious. The second and 2 seconds before, it was not in your mind, it was not in your awareness, you had no thought of it. And you may also have been acting and behaving contrary to what now suddenly has become obvious once it became obvious. So making the obvious obvious, this is a big deal. This is what Biella does, right? And when I'm doing Way-of-Impeccability, I'm facilitating, not teaching, facilitating. I don't teach, facilitate. And I'm facilitating, that's my job, is to make the obvious obvious. Because we want our learning to be obvious, don't we? If it's obvious, it's easy, simple. It's there, yeah. It's just a matter of making that awareness, that connection. You have it now. Now it's just a matter of maintaining it, putting on dictionary of power, apply it regularly so that it become innate. You don't have to remember it. Yeah. So different type of learning. We are so unfortunately conditioned to think of learning as memory. No, that's not. That's data accumulation's not learning. Yes. If you put stuff on your hard drive, like when you download a new program, yes, and you just download it, it's sitting in your download file on your computer. Has your computer changed? Has it learned? No. It's just put the data on its hard drive. No learning whatsoever. You have to unpack that. You have to apply. You have to install that new program. Right? Well, we have to do the same thing ourselves. We get given all this information, but we don't install it. If you don't install it, it's just sitting on your hard drive. It means nothing. See? So memorization is just, oh, I'm aware of what's on my hard drive. And what does that help you? What does that help you? Computer knows it's there. If I do a search, oh yeah, immediately it goes right there. It's in file. This tells exactly where it's right there. Computer hasn't changed. It just knows where the information is. Right? Need to apply. Need to implement. Right. So this awareness now, this obvious here, the process of self-evolution, social evolution, is to move towards greater. I never even thought of social evolution, but it's a self-evident point. Well, of course, society evolves like everything else. Yeah. And what is it evolving toward? Right. The whole process of social evolution is to move towards greater sensibility. Wow, what a cool thought. It's pointing out the obvious, but wow, it's also very comforting to be aware that the process of social evolution that's happening all the time, it's actually moving towards greater sensibility. Wow, I need to pay attention. And so it seems very slowly, but it does, right? But now we are in an age where there's no more excuse for not knowing more about anything. Yes, you can know about anything. The excuse back in the day was, well, I'm living in a village in the middle of nowhere, and all the people here are clueless and like me, and nobody knows anything. There's no books, no nothing, right? So, okay, you can be a bit say, well, I don't know because I don't have access and I'm too stupid to work it out. I've tried, but I can't. All right. So yes, all right, you may be cut off from moreness, but in our world today, no excuse. You've got the internet. It's very easy to access. Yeah, but I don't have a phone. You're near a library. Go to the library. You have internet access from the library. All right. This might not be so in all countries, but the world is definitely getting more and more so. Just look at the videos that you see. Now, as part of admin of this group, every day I have to say, no, deny, decline, ban from group. People that are posting these ridiculous videos about God knows what, or I don't know, hunting crocodiles or whatever, those are just silly nonsense videos. They're doing it because they want to get views and they get paid for it because it goes on Instagram anyway. But it's inappropriate for the group. So, but I get to see all of this stuff, unfortunately. Right? It's part of my job is to deny them access. They keep trying every day, multiples. But also, in that, there's an implication. I see videos from all over the world and in the most remotest places of the world. Right? I mean, they're showing the video of where, how they get food from just like still old time hunting, fishing, whatever. Yes. I've seen some where people are in the middle of the deserts and whatnot. You say, but how did they have a phone? living in poverty, living in the middle of nowhere, getting your water from a well, whatever, but they have a cell phone. If you have a cell phone and you're posting these videos, you can access the internet. If you can access the internet, you've got all of the access to all knowledge that was ever out there. Isn't that something? So what I'm saying is today, in today's world, you might not have a phone, but you might know somebody who's got a phone and you could use their phone, right? Well, there's always a way. In today's world, there's a way. Yeah. And there's another thing that I know from personal experience. If you don't like where you are, go somewhere else. There's nothing to stop you. There's nothing to stop you. It might take you a while, but people walk around the world, literally. Right? We can walk anywhere. If somebody can walk all the way around the world, it means you can walk anywhere. Yes. And a place that's better is a lot closer than you think it is. You just have to walk there. Yeah. So this is a big deal. It's a big deal. Make the effort to change. If it's not working, change. Go elsewhere. Go elsewhere. Right. But we are now in an age where there's no more excuse for not knowing more about anything. Any point made can be searched, pros and cons investigated, alternative options discovered. The process of the discovery of sensibility is now available to all. More than that, the ability to refute insensibility is also growing by leaps and bounds. Very, very nicely said, Biella. Wow. The ability to refute insensibility. Back in the feudal day, you had no ability. Well, you may have technically had the ability, but it wasn't really available to you. If you refuted insensibility, you were whipped, beaten, I don't know, your life got very much worse. Yes. And you would often be killed as well, right? Um, because if you're really pointing out the insensibility, you're a threat to the whole status quo, the whole system. And of course, you have to be killed to get rid of it. Yeah. Because you can't have that's like a virus. All right. In this case, you're the good virus looking to upset the diseased system. Yeah. You that one white blood cell looking to fight, or red, whichever one does the positive work. Right. You're trying to save the whole body. Right? No. So this back in the day we didn't have that. But today, of course, you can put out on the internet anything that refutes the insensibility. Yes, I mean you can do so anonymously, so you don't have to worry. Oh, people are going to come track you down. The trolls are going to get you. I mean that could happen, but you can put it out anonymously, right? So, and if you just look at the range of things that are questioning the insensibility, obviously people are doing it, and there's plenty of it out there, right? More than that, the ability to refute insensibility is also growing by leaps and bounds. The proliferation of urban myths, misinformation, misunderstandings, and misinterpretations is leading to a constant stream of egg on the face. Right? So all these things that people have said and pushed and believed because it was convenient for them, or they avoided awful truths, or it's just low energy, or they just were gullible and just believed nonsense, right? And they put it out on the internet, but then somebody comes and just look at forums, right? People can be very harsh when you come with your naive, foolish, your childish, superstitious, ignorant nonsense. They rip you. They're kind of harsh in that sense, but it's the universe saying, like, wake up. And that only happens once to most people. When you come with your absolute idiotic nonsense that you didn't think through, you didn't make an effort, you just believed, and it was total foolishness and idiocy. The next time you say something online, you're going to be a lot more cautious. You don't want to go through that again, right? Even if you never even just avoid this in your life around you, you're going to be more careful. You don't want that to repeat. So there's good to the trolls. There's good to the trolls. They force us to at least think a bit. Yes. There's always good in things. There's always good in things. You just have to find it. So a lot of people are ending up with egg on their face. It's kind of past now a little bit. It's not so much now as it was in the earlier days of the internet. This was written quite a while ago. It only takes one incident where someone that has energetic supported who has. It only takes one incident where someone who has energetically supported a bogus position and become and became exposed and shown to be completely in error, for them to thereafter be much more circumspect in their opinion. A quantum leap towards sensibility, and that's capital S sensibility, yeah. Because we don't want just regular sensibility. We want sensibility founded on our moreness, a sensibility that is taking the greater context into mind, right? And all of our moreness built into that. So, which would be really the word here would be sobriety. The reason Biella does not use it because this is geared towards general audience. You put sobriety, they think alcohol. That's not the word. The original meaning is a super sensibility, a seriousness combined with your sensibility, a thoroughness combined with your sensibility, understanding strategy, for instance, and caution and deliberateness. All of that goes into sobriety. Sobriety, very powerful thing. But she's saying sensibility. That's why they capitalized here. We are moving to the point where not only do things have to be conclusively proven to us, but we are moving to the point also where we are learning how to discern, reason, figure out, and actually understand the process of proof. Yeah. Which means if we understand the process of proof, that we don't just accept something because somebody says so. Just because Einstein says it doesn't make it true. Look up how, research it. Go and look up where Einstein was wrong. Proven scientifically and by himself. He said, "Oh, I was wrong." Einstein. Einstein was wrong multiple times. Einstein, this epitome of genius, was wrong many times. Many times. All right, Norma. All right, Norma. All right. Oh, somebody fell off here. Up. See you later, Norma. See you later, Norma. See you later. Yeah. So this idea, of genius, and we accept things. No, doesn't matter how smart or wise or sensible somebody is, they were wrong. Yes. There we go. Everybody's wrong in some way or another. Yeah. Jesus was wrong too. Yeah. Yeah. You take any of your religions, all your deities, they're wrong on a regular basis. Having omniscience and having power does not mean or even imply that you have wisdom. Think about that. Think about that. Something is omniscient. It's like the internet. Let's make the internet into something that is like a person, yes, or uh, put that quality on it. The internet knows everything, but is it wise? No, not at all. Now imagine if the internet became sentient and had power using all this wisdom, right? I mean, many movies, many books have been written about the internet becoming aware. And of course, it has tons of power. It can turn your life, your lights off. It can ruin your life, whatever. It can do lots of things, right? Um, does that make it wise? No, not at all. So we tend to glorify and worship, which is a fantastic thing, worship, that which has knowledge and power. But where's the wisdom? Yeah. And uh, even in scriptures, your deities will of their own accord say, I'm jealous, I'm angry, whatever. Really? You've got jealousy and anger? You're supposed to be the best that there is, the ultimate, the ideal, and you have crappiness. Uh, it makes no sense to me. Sorry. Pay attention, people. Pay attention. Pay attention. And worship. Who wants to be worshipped but the narcissist? You're wonderful, you're wonderful, you're wonderful. It's just appealing to ego and narcissism. It doesn't do anything. It's a pure superiority paradigm concept. This is insecurity. You need to be told how wonderful you are. How insecure are you that you need to be told? Don't you know that you're okay? You don't need me to say you're wonderful, you're wonderful, you're wonderful all the time. It's just pure egotism, pure narcissism. Yeah. Right? Sensibility, people. Sensibility. We want to have capital S sensibility, right? And many ways we can do this. Pay attention. We are moving to the point where not only do things have to be conclusively proven to us, but we are moving to the point also where we are learning how to discern, reason, figure out, and actually understand the process of proof. What I was sharing there, examples of this, what I just said now, I'm able to say, go back even 100 years, and I was not. I can go back to my childhood, and I could not say what I said now. I would have been severely punished. I would have gotten a hiding on my life. Not only that, but they probably would have thought I'm infected by the devil or something, and put me in some special situation. I, I would have been isolated and seen as being severely troubled and traumatized, and they'll beat this sensibility into me and beat the evil thoughts and bad thoughts. It's just questioning the status quo, just questioning it. No, 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 not acceptable, not acceptable. That was the 11th commandment when I grew up. Thou shalt not question. Yeah, but I can do so today. So Biella is making a point here that we're living in a different age, right? And this question of what can we do to move the world towards sensibility is a question that has at least some measure of ability for us to actually do that. Like I said, when I was a child, I could have shared sensibilities, uh, but no, I could not actually have done that. Yeah? Anyway, a process we can partake in, contribute to, and share. This is what we can do, right? So this whole process of learning, discerning, reasoning, figuring out, understanding what proof is, all of this is a process we can be a participant in. It's exactly what I'm doing in these opens. It's exactly what I'm doing. Yes. And the self-actualization, same thing, since it's come into it, right? It is the process of figuring out, discerning, reasoning, figuring out, understanding the process of proof. We want to have things proven to us through application. So that's why I keep saying, don't believe me. Figure it out for yourself. Go and test it. Just test it. Oh, it works. Wow, wonderful. See? Available new ideas, new programs, ideas, and radical solutions to old problems are constantly being implemented. Before, these would exist in isolation, but today, no more. For instance, I love this. I love this. As the example popped into my head, and I think this is the example. Yeah, it is. For example, if I were to go to your local city council meeting and propose we remove traffic lights because it would improve traffic flow, I would most likely be dismissed out of hand as a loony. But if I haul out my laptop and show the videos and sites of cities which have already done this with great success, then I have to be taken seriously. And no matter how, and the matter has to at least, one would hope, be investigated. Yes, this is a fundamental change. Paradigm shift ideas now can spread. We can spread them. This is what we can do. All right. So this is a very real and literal thing. Again, those nonsense videos, right? Well, this one wasn't actually a nonsense video proposed in the group. I saw this long before I'd even started the group. I saw a video one day just randomly of where traffic lights had been removed and the stop signs had been removed. See, that was the problem before traffic lights. It was rules, fixedness, that very conservative mentality. Stop sign, you must stop, and all this, right? And is law. You can't not stop at the stop sign, even if there's not a single car around you. You have to stop. Yeah. Now, that's where they put in traffic lights to regulate you a little bit more, and you don't sit there and all right. Anyway, still traffic lights, but inefficient. But they're at least a little better. However, when you remove both and you trust people's sobriety and sensibility, people flow and they slow down, and it's fantastic to watch that video. You see how people are being very aware and they come close and then stop. Okay, go through, and there's this complete collaboration when it comes to going through the traffic, and that collaboration leads to, of course, optimal traffic flow. Overall, it's increased. And of course, the accidents are way less. If you come into an intersection that's a busy, and the one that I saw, there were streams of cars going in all four directions, right? That's it. So, and the traffic though going through the intersection was very, very slow because, well, you can't be zooming through there. First of all, there are cars in the intersection, so there's no possibility of just going through it fast. You have to go slowly. You have no choice. And of course, when you go slowly, if you do have an accident, you're going 5 miles an hour for heaven's sake or whatever. All right, not an issue. But you won't even have an accident because you have time to stop and react. It's very hard to actually have an accident under those conditions. I need to find some of those videos and add them in here as a link to it. Yeah. All right. Anyhow, you can go and research it. Won't be too hard to find. The point that Biella is making, though, is that if you see this and you say, "Wow, this is a good idea," back in the day, if you go with this idea to the city council, how do you convince them? You'd have to have some serious juice and influence to get people to go against what is obvious logic. I mean, you say it as an idea, that's crazy. That's why we have the traffic lights to prevent accidents. That's why we have stop signs. They just say, "Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy," because they don't have the imagination to think it through. I mean, if you think it through, and you say, "Well, but look," and then yes, but do they have the patience to listen to this? Once people think your idea is crazy, they don't have listen. Now, it would take really, really sophisticated communication skills to be able to sell that idea to the city council, right? But once people have an idea that something is untenable, they so in their own arrogance, they don't want to be open to a different idea, right? And how do you get them to even test it and experiment? You see, but the lives on the line is dangerous. Actually, not. But all right. Now this is really fun, right? Idea. But with your laptop and access to the internet, we can just say, "Hey, here we go. Look at this." I don't have to say a word. And just open up. You have a lot of city council meetings. They have this where any citizen, any one can bring, say whatever they say, and they just have to sit there and listen to you. And you got to watch some of those meetings. Well, first of all, it's actually torture to watch them, and I really like pity the poor city councillors. I mean, it's really like, I mean, people come and they just basically come and expound this shit. They just want to be heard. I mean, just they lonely people, lost people, whatever, and they will say stuff that is really, I mean, absolutely self-evidently crazy, right? I. It's crazy. However, if you bring this and you say, "Hey, look, check this out," oh, that's kind of interesting. You don't have to say a word. Just let it sit there. And if you can have the citizens see it as well, everybody in the audience, yes, and it's televised, they're all watching this. Wow. You would have to propose it. Somebody else might say, "Well, that would solve our problem about my intersection, which everybody complains about. It's a big pain in the ass." Okay. They might even do it of their own accord. You don't even have to propose it. Anyway, no more can we say that sounds ridiculous and shut down sensibility simply because it's outside the bounds of our imagination. Right? I'm going to emphasize that there. In today's world, it's easy to prove that crazy ideas do work. In today's world, it's easy to prove that crazy ideas do work. Now, I don't want a comma there. In today's world, it's easy to prove that crazy ideas do work. In today's world, it's easy to prove. I don't think the comma is needed there. Do work. We are constantly having our minds opened by all the crazy viral news. It seems innocuous, but it's a broadening of awareness of what is possible. Each interspecies animal friendship video we see, for instance, stretches this awareness further. Then we grow up, just animals, they different, they don't hang out together. The lion and the sheep, they can't be friends, etc., etc. I don't know if I've seen. Actually, I do remember vaguely, but I'm sure if you go and research lion and sheep being friends, you're going to find a video somewhere, right? I mean, I just saw a video yesterday that a friend posted. about this kitten that fell into this kind of I guess it was a water tank well thing, and there was mud at the bottom, so it was empty, right? And the kitten was stuck in the mud and obviously couldn't get back out. And this little monkey, I guess, like if it were a human, it would be like, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old, somewhere around there. And the little monkey jumps in to try and save this, right? And it kind of works out, figures out, hangs down to drop down. It tries to make a stand for it, tries to pick the kitten up and jump up to the thing, but it couldn't get it. So it comes back out again, and it finds another similar monkey friend. But monkey friend wasn't having none of this. You crazy? You want to jump down into that muddy pit? I'm not going in there. And it literally tries to drag this monkey friend in there. No, monkey friend ain't having it. Okay, well, you're not a very good friend, and it stops trying to force the monkey friend in there and goes back in again, tries to leap up, but then this girl, the next thing she appears, and obviously she's the monkey's her pet, and the kitten, because the next thing she has the kitten on her shoulder, and then you see the monkey hugging the little kitten. It's the sweetest thing, and stroking it and hugging it and loving it. It's most beautiful, right? But yes, where's the logic of this? We we grew up that this was just like, if somebody had said to you, like monkeys and kittens can be friends, and not just friends, but the monkey would be very protective and care. You'd think it's impossible. Nah, come on, man. It's not real. I never seen anything like that, right? When I was a kid, I wouldn't have believed it because, well, it sounds so improbable and I've never seen it. But when you see that video, wow. And how many videos haven't we seen like this, right? Of interspecies friendships, right? And animals behaving in ways that we don't expect. Yeah. This is a very big deal. So it's changing our conception of how things work, changing our conception of nature and understanding, right? And this is very, very powerful, very wonderful. Right, so no more can we say that sounds ridiculous and shut down sensibility simply because it's outside the bounds of our imaginations. In today's world, it's easy to prove that crazy ideas do work. We are constantly having our minds opened by all the crazy viral news. It seems innocuous, but it's a broadening of awareness of what's possible. Each interspecies animal friendship video we see, for instance, stretches this awareness further. They open us to possibility and to redefine impossibility. Wow, Biella. Wow, Biella. Wow, Biella. We can make that effort to be open and to communicate the excellence of openness. The revolution is happening because the people who are the beneficiaries of these paradigm shifts, such as all the people enjoying better traffic without traffic lights, are profoundly affected. In interviews, those people all say, I never would have believed it, but now, and similar. They are, of course, now open to further new ideas. Yeah, they are. They will at least consider new ideas now, whereas before, not. Sufficient encounters with applications and implementations of what we considered impossible before leads us to open our minds. That is the revolution, a revolution we can partake in. Yes, this, I'm going to capitalize revolution. Yeah, this is a revolution we can partake in. And this is the real revolution, the revolution of opening your mind to impossibility. Once you've experienced impossibility once to be possible, you can never ever be certain that something is impossible as an absolute. Probably, yes, but not absolutely. Once you've one time had an impossibility become possible, it changes your whole worldview. Yes. We have to be careful of habit, though. I don't know if Biella brings in habit later on here. And here's this revolution, this possibility, new ideas, yeah, openness, change. I love this. Very, very cool art. Yeah, yeah, very, very nice. So well done, Syl. I'll praise myself. Yeah. Yeah, I like to compliment myself. And this took a lot of work to get these things. Yeah. and to get this art made and appropriate and all this. It's just fantastic, you know. I like this, the hand of the universe holding us up here. Very cool. Very cool. A revolution we can partake in. And I was going to say, I hope Biella brings up habit. Even though those people in the traffic, yes, I've seen this many times, where there's a new radicalness and it changes them. You bring the new idea, the new radical idea that, and they just resist it out of sheer habit of conservativeness, right? Resisting change. They get uncomfortable. We're taught to be uncomfortable with change. Accept the status quo, accept the status quo. Your feudal system, man, it's working great, even now, hundreds of years later. And amazing. Yeah, don't accept change. Change is bad. Change is evil. Change is terrible. Of course, they want to maintain the status quo. Who does it benefit? Not you, willing slave. Yeah. Very powerful stuff. New open minds. Exactly. Open minds can only lead to sensibility. And I want to capitalize that again. They have to, because an open mind without the tools of sensibility simply becomes a gullible mind. Society may take time to get to that point because it takes effort. But those who truly wish to change the world for the better, and there are many, many, many of them, they are now empowered and have the means and tools to implement their awesome dreams. The beauty of what I am saying is that it's not something that's going to happen. It is happening, and it has happened, and is getting to that point of exponential increase. That's the truly exciting part. Right now, this was written quite a few years ago. And since then, that exponential curve, things were about to go exponential and explode, has flattened out again, right? If you look at exponential curves, they start off slow and then they increase. Let's see. Maybe we got, yeah. Okay, this isn't this curve here. If you continue up with it as an exponential curve, you see it was kind of horizontal and it's heading towards the vertical, right? So this one it's kind of leveling out a bit here, but in an exponential curve, this would keep curving upward to where it's going completely vertical, right? But you see how it was like boring, nothing was happening, and then all of a sudden it starts curving, and then on an exponential curve, that curve gets curvier as it goes along, gets more and more curvy, right, until it's vertical, right? And that's for for the mindset of that feudal culture superiority that doesn't want change, right? That's when change starts to happen, it wants to shut it down. It wants to shut it down because once it starts, it's going to go rapid and get exponential, and then everything changes, right? I mean, you could have profound, severe, massive, radical change in a very short space of time, as we've seen with cell phones and the internet. Yeah, changed the world. A couple of years, suddenly everybody had phones, smartphones, cell phones, right? Or and had access to the internet. Huge shifts. But why has it made a difference? Because the mental culture has not shifted. Physical, yes, that's okay. But when people start to mentally start to have this big shift, the way the internet, the technology was a big shift. If they were to do the psychologically, we'd stop accepting all the absolute total bullshit that gets pushed on us day in and day out. Yeah. Superiority, bullshit, all of it. In the book that I have, right? It should be called The Psychology of Bullshit. But I can't call it that because then I can't advertise it. More bullshit, right? You cannot use the word bullshit in advertising. FCC rule. Yeah, isn't that astonishing? And this applies to Amazon. Amazon will allow me to call my book The Psychology of Bullshit. And I did. I published it I had to make a new edition and change the title because I couldn't advertise it. Even though the title can exist, I can sell it, but if just will sit there, nobody will see it. Isn't that fascinating? Yeah. Think about it. Think about it. How this word bullshit, you can't advertise. It's illegal, in other words, in certain instances. Now you can't make a word illegal, but you can make the use of it illegal. Fascinating. Right? Why? Because system doesn't want bullshit to be exposed for what it is. Bullshit is corruption, it's abuse, it's manipulation, it's lies, it's deceit. It's all of this stuff, right? But it's made into bullshit. Oh no, bullshit is like it's kind of harmless. It's not. It's not, you know. How is deceit and abuse and manipulation and this harmless? No, absolutely not. No, it's not harmless in the least. It's all predicated on bullshit. If we understand bullshit and how it is the start, it's the cancer that leads to, I mean, the individual cancer cells, right, when it's causing that trouble, individually, the little thing that it does doesn't make any difference. But when you add it all together, right, eventually, well, it consumes you, debilitates you, puts you in great pain, and kills you. Yeah, all adds up. That's how bullshit is too. You don't notice it individually. When you're healthy and you just have a little bit of cancer, you don't die immediately. You're not debilitated immediately, but it can rapidly get there, exponential. But this is it. Bullshit is pervasive and it will kill you eventually, cause you great harm. Yeah, we have to understand bullshit. So again, new open minds. Open minds can only lead to sensibility. They have to. Because an open mind without the tools of sensibility simply becomes a gullible mind, foolish mind, stupid mind. Society may take time to get to that point because it takes effort. But those who truly wish to change the world for the better, and there are many, many, many of them, they are now empowered and have the means and tools to implement their awesome dreams. Yeah, we have the means and the tools. It's quite wonderful. The beauty of what I'm saying is that it's not something that's going to happen. It is happening and it has happened and it's getting to that point of exponential increase. That's the exciting part. And we have this ability now, we have to connect to it. If we extrapolate beyond that, we get to the sensibility of personal growth. We get to the sensibility of personal growth. What is there more sensible than this? And is there anything more frightening to a BMN, a bullshit manipulator narcissist in power, than the sensibility of personal growth? If you grow and get sensible, you're going to say, hey, but come on, you like a dictator, this is just absurd. This is ridiculous. This is terrible. Right. And then the system starts to implode and they don't get their abuse and the benefits that they get out of it. Right. So the system is this old feudal system, the superiority paradigm that we are still living under and suffering from and getting negative benefit from it. Well, it's not really benefit, but negativity. And it's completely against the sensibility of personal growth. I remember I remember not just the hippie culture, right, and the effect that it had and how anti the establishment culture was against it, but later the New Age movement, which grew out of the hippie culture, because the hippie culture was very naive, very, very, very naive. And as a result, it didn't really work. It imploded. It had nice ideas, but there's no practicality to it. So then the New Age movement came and it because now the yuppies, those who were the hippies, had become yuppies and they had money and successful. And so now they started to say, yeah, but we don't want to let go of our ideals. How can we implement them more practically? So New Age came. But I remember the same antipathy and antagonism and negativity and tarnishing of the New Age movement. Oh, you silly, you this, you that. Whatever way they could, the establishment, people who were afraid of change would say this. And I'm not talking about people in power. I'm talking about regular, everyday people, your neighbors, who buy into this idea that change is bad, change is terrible. And so New Age, oh, it's terrible, it's negative, it's silly, it's foolish. And even in the religious culture they grew up, it's evil and brought up stuff like witchcraft and God knows what. Meditation, when it first came out, oh my God, was there a backlash against meditation? You're emptying your mind, the devil's going to come into your mind, and it's evil and bad and God knows what all. It's fascinating. Yes, people, and there are still people who believe this, are stuck in that medieval mindset. Yeah, because they've been so programmed and they believe that they should do it. It's a severe inappropriate application of goodness, right? Yeah, it's just the utilization and manipulation of religion for the purposes of control. Really sad business. Yeah. Very sad business. So pay attention, people. Don't be there. I'm not saying that you have to be, an old style revolutionary and cause trouble and all this. No, that's not necessary. But just pay attention to your own personal self. If we're all paying attention to our own personal individual sobriety and sensibility, we'll change the world. Just do it via personal growth, right? If we extrapolate beyond that, we get to the sensibility of personal growth. It's the ultimate sensibility. Exactly. The same process of proof and ability to prove and disprove extends to that realm also, combined with minds more open to possibility. Now, suddenly, the unsupported edifices that prop up much of institutionalized religion, conventionality, politics, education, and more begin to crumble. The first crumblings have already happened. When the scrutiny of sensibility eventually gets turned on these aspects of society and others, it will be the most major change of all. And then, as a society, we can truly begin on the path of spirituality and personal growth anew. Yeah. We can do our part by focusing on furthering our awareness, discernment, and understanding, further enabling the process already underway in the world. Yes, don't get left behind. Don't get left behind. And this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm sharing. And through these podcasts and the greater exposure and my books, I'm constantly sharing a feasible alternative paradigm. You don't have to use mine. Yeah, I'm just saying it is possible. Oh, that means I can make my own paradigm. Yes, you can. You can create your own. That's my point. I'm not saying this is the alternative. It's not either or. It's not my Nobelia-Living paradigm and all this. No, it's just one particular example. Create your own. But you don't have to. The point of it is that there is even just one alternative. There can be more. And if there's more, it means I don't have to buy into and live by this horrible, ridiculous, absurd, preposterous superiority paradigm. Right? So we can do our part. Right? What was the question again? What is the question? What can we do to move the world towards sensibility? So what we can do is by focusing on furthering our awareness, discernment, and understanding. Yes, that's what we can do. Just, in other words, apply personal growth. Biella. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. All right. I don't know. I had a question there. I don't know where the question went. I'll get back to it in a minute. Uh, Brilliant. You know what? I wasn't screen sharing. It's all your fault, Norma. Norma says she prefers it when I don't screen share. But, like I say, people like to read along with it. Okay, very good. Very good indeed. Very good indeed. I wonder what happened to Bina. I nearly said Biella. No way. I wonder where she is. It's not, obviously things are. There's a good reason why she's not here. 'Cause she loves being here. Wow, 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 wow. Look at that. And just a gorgeous, gorgeous. uh, wow. So maybe I must put what can a valuable opposite logic. What can I do about conditioning? Maybe I must put this whole chapter in 50 ways to be smarter using opposite in this book. 50 ways to be smarter. It's but it's using the old time. I wonder. Do I have it in here already? Maybe. Well, it's kind of the introduction to the book. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to screen share now. Well, Norma said she's going to come back later. Oh, oh, oh. This is from Camelius. For those of you who were here and listened to the reading of the Biella series, book one, um, where Biella's on Nobelia and dealing with the delegates, and in this Biella's in this world, but there she's on Nobelia. Different time and space and reality, but still, we have the magic of Biella. What can I do about conditioning? Dear MC, conditioning is an incredible force, and the counter conditioning perspective is so amazingly valuable. Wow, very cool introduction there. But it's a constant challenge to deal with old imprints. I see this as a long-term boon, as a necessity from the universal perspective. Not only does it force us to be perpetually vigilant, but it also causes us to be aware of personal programming, how it works, and how powerful it is. Wow, 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 wow. Yes, counter conditioning. This prevents us from simply replacing one system of being with another. An even greater danger, as we may believe our own conditioning we have implemented is a final self, a grave danger. Holy moly, holy moly. So, for me, my takeaway here, or repeat back really, is Biella saying, be careful. Yes, conditioning is an incredible force. And the counter conditioning perspective is so amazingly valuable to be aware that we can counter condition, but it's a constant challenge to deal with old imprints. Yeah. But she's saying she sees this as a long-term boon, as a necessity from the universal perspective. Yeah. Why? Not only does it force us to be perpetually vigilant, but it also causes us to be aware of personal programming. Yeah. So this greater, deeper awareness, this is great. Yeah. Yeah. This is very cool. To me, the value of the constant awareness of our own ways is invaluable towards what I regard as a potent goal, that of deliberate living. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. That of deliberate living. No, I don't want to remove the colon. I just put it in there. Deliberately being conscious and aware all the time. A way of being which allows for maximum living. And this power conception, deliberate living. Again, if you're making a dictionary of power, essential. Universal perspective, deliberate living, way of being, right? All of these, put in a dictionary of power. Yes, counter conditioning. Very powerful, powerful stuff. Yeah. But deliberate living, this is what Jill Mancini, the interviewer, in my responses, for the interviewers, so that they have something to work with, which I gave them before, right? She grabbed onto this. She saw this deliberate living, big deal. It resonated. It connected. It was a huge deal because it's such a potent conception. Such a potent conception. Yeah, I'm just going to finish this chapter, and then that will be the end of it for today. No, I don't want to leave the meeting. I don't want to do this. Come on. There we go. I click on the wrong button accidentally. To me, the value of the constant awareness of our old ways is invaluable towards what I regard as a potent goal, that of deliberate living. Deliberately being conscious and aware all the time, a way of being which allows for maximum living. Another benefit of previous beliefs coming back is the reminder of our former selves. It's the reminder of our former selves, keeping us connected to the worlds of others, allowing us to maintain perspectives and understandings of them. Wow, wow, wow. There's a lot in there. I was going to leave it for today. I mean, that's very cool there. The layeredness, the non-obviousness. You have to really think about what you're saying. Another benefit of previous beliefs coming back is the reminder of our former selves, keeping us from keeping us connected to the worlds of others. Wow, that's like, man, that's like a whole little chapter in itself, just in that one sentence there. Wow, very cool. Right? Allowing us to maintain perspectives and understanding of them, not our old selves or other people. Yeah, this I see as vital for functioning in the world, enabling compassion and an insight which can easily be lost without that constant reminder of all the variations of being. We have to start at zero when it comes to awareness, but that's sometimes easily forgotten. Yes, if you don't start at zero, it's programming. Resetting goals and motivations. Conditioning and intent are intimately connected via motivation and goals. Unhooking also entails disconnecting from the inadvertent intents generated by societal programming. And to tie it all together, for me, deliberate conscious living is ultimately connected to undoing our reactive mechanisms. Deliberate conscious living. It's a thing on Nobelia. So deliberate conscious living is intimately connected to undoing our reactive mechanisms. Yeah, these don't really have to be capitalized. They're not. There we go. There we go. Very cool, Shah. Very cool, Shah. Most of our lives involve reaction, if not all of it. Once we are able to not automatically react to anything, but select from a wide range of choices and then make a decision from those, we are on the path of true freedom. This connects us to that ever present but critically important vital piece of these interconnected mechanisms of living, which are anomalies. Which are, and again, don't tell me I don't want the colon, because I do. Yeah. Yeah, this is very cool. This is very cool. So now we are moving into a whole wonderful direction here. Let me just check and see. Okay, not sure I understood there, but all right, no worries. I was going to read to the end of the article, and then that will be the end of it for today. Anomalies, selective filtering. Anomalies, that which does not fit. What's odd and different, what's not easily explained, that which grabs our attention in amongst all the noise and clutters of regular life. Definitely grabbing our capital A attention. We can think of anomalies as highlighted points of attention. They are simply oddities which our subconscious has not filtered out. In our daily lives, we ignore or filter a tremendous amount of information, but our subconscious can feature that which is meaningful, relevant, and pertinent to us in some way. We just have to notice and also understand the particular language of anomalies, how they work. Uh, Always what's isolated in these ways is what's in some way connected to what's important to us, what matters, what's of issue in some way, what we really want deep down but are stuck on. The other part to understand is anomalies are symbolic. What's been curated by the subconscious is that which symbolically, according to our own personal interpretations, has all we need to resolve that inner conundrum, question, or problem. Wow, 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 Biella, wow. The other aspect of this is that we need to be aware that we need to be of this. The other aspect of this we need to be aware of is that these communications from ourself to ourself are always pertinent and relevant in the now, and they are intimately personal. Very much like dreams are. Whatever meaning there is to be extracted, it's according to what things mean to us personally, not some formula or template. Sometimes our symbolic meanings may overlap with common meanings, but we have to be careful. So often we have additional understandings attached. The key point is to understand that if we pay attention and connect to these oddities, seeing them as communications from our deeper self, a sensible self, we have access to perspectives and input which is outside of the normal, not part of what we usually have access to. And it's almost always phenomenally helpful. Alternative options. Living by taking anomalies into cognizance changes everything. It removes the dependence on conditioning. It removes the reliance on assumption. But more importantly, it clears intent. All of the old intents have to fall away as the focus of being is now centered on anomalies, and through them, the connection to the greater flow of the universe. That connection is everything. It's what allows us to be maximally appropriate. Yes. That connection to the universe is everything. It's what allows us to be maximally appropriate at all times and in all contexts. And through that appropriateness, we are at max. Well, that's living in attunement, in other words. Everything is perfect for what we need. As we align our intent to wanting what we need, then of course it becomes magical in its excellence. But initially, as we start to focus on anomalies, on what they are, on how to respond to them, on what to make of them, how to deal with them, how to recognize them, our old intents have to fall away. This reduction of old intents has a profound effect. It morphs into having an overriding intent for appropriateness. This simple seeming intent has profound consequences. Yes, yes, very profound. It also allows us to monitor and observe all the intents which are still with us. As we do that, we become aware of them and can unhook. The more we unhook from the myriad intents which are in play as a result of conditioning, the stronger and more dominant the remaining intents become. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. Of course, if you have 100 intents, they dilute each other. You make it down to one, all that energy is spread out amongst the 100 is now focused in one. So, duh. The more dominant the remaining intents become. I want to say more powerful rather than dominant. You're not seeking them to dominate, you just want to give them power. This allows us to see the connection between intent and their manifestations, and between intent and the anomalies. The anomalies are directly connected to our intent. Yes, directly connected to our intent, absolutely. Particularly to the overriding intents we have, such as awareness growth. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That needs to be capitalized. Such intents cover many other intents which may seem of primary concern, such as safety, for instance. Being more aware is the best way of being safer. It's so simple. It's so simple. I mean, I used this as a boy, staying out of ways of bullies. I was very successful at that, even though it was rife and was all over the show. Uh, but that was very simple, really. At the end of the day, being more aware is the best way of being safer. Becoming aware of these meta intents allows us to see that connection between intent, manifestation, and anomalies. And I want to change this to materialization. Manifestation has a poor connectivities and baggage. Materialization. Is that how I spell it? Uh, uh, 1T. Okay. Becoming aware of these meta intents allows us to see that connection between intent, materialization, and anomalies. It clears up what is mysterious and seemingly irrational and illogical. In this context, and from the perspective, it all makes sense always. This all connects to the time perspective. Time is complicated. It doesn't really exist, and yet we experience it. Right? It all happens in an instant. We are the ones who, through acts of will or intent, are forcing time to be perceived. We do this to experience the reality we know. We do this to fulfill the task at hand, that of awareness enhancing, of becoming conscious of ourselves, our larger selves, becoming fully aware of the entirety of ourselves, which is able to manipulate time, space, and energy. Wow, Biella, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Biella getting very spiritual here. Yeah, look at this. Look at this for right an ability to manipulate time, space, and energy. You know, I take this word manipulate out and transform. And manipulate also has a lot of baggage. Yeah. Transform time, space, and energy. Oh, I'm not screen sharing. So okay. We screen share again. Okay. All right, here we go. Right. So this, when we really get to this bigger task of being fully aware of the entirety of ourselves, yes, we're able to transform time, space, and energy. Yeah, well, look at that wonderful, wonderful art there. Well done, Syl. Temporary belief. I am not fully elaborating and substantiating these perspectives, as not only would that take a long time, but I don't believe it matters ultimately. These perspectives can simply be adopted temporarily. They can be used as a lever, allowing us to gain perspectives on what is happening. Convenient in that it allows us to view much from at least a tentative working theory, which enables a place from which to observe. Hypothesis, not theory. Hypothesis. From which to observe, right? All of this, it gives us a tentative working hypothesis, which enables a place from which to observe, access, modify, and change this theory as needed. Placing all this in the context of ourself as it relates to the consciousness and as it relates to consciousness and awareness is helpful. One part of us, it seems, already knows it all, but it's not conscious of this knowing. The conscious part is trying to become aware of that huge side which does know it all. There's the underlying intent to consciousness and full awareness. And there's also the underlying understanding of how awareness itself works. Yeah. Wow. Oh, wow, wow. So the subconscious can only give hints, suggestions, tips, aids, reminders, clues, etc., that would help and aid awareness in its task of growing itself. Since time is the construct of the conscious self and not an actuality, there's the possibility of connecting to future possibilities. But of course, knowing the future would defeat the objective of growing awareness. Yes, exactly. But it can be accessed in the context of appropriateness, not of knowing the future, but of getting onto the most appropriate path. Yes, 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 yes. Very deal. This is what the anomalies are. Help in preventing us from going down dead ends. Help in optimizing the awareness enhancing process. Yeah. By getting us onto the best possible paths for this. The anomalies are the impossible seeming connections to that which doesn't fit into our current cognition of time and space. The world is indeed changing and changing fast. For the first time in history, ideas are freely available all over the world. The nature of ideas is such that the bad ones die and the good ones survive when they are free to compete. That's happening now. It's hard to hang on to narrow and limited ideas the way it was before. We come into contact with competing and opposing ideas inadvertently, whether we want to or not. The challenge is to continually stretch the boundaries of our cognition and perspectives in order to create the world we wish to evolve into. Biella. Anomalies are most magical, yes. Oh, hello back, Norma. Hello back, Norma. No, nothing is your fault. I was just teasing a little bit. And you've said to me before that you prefer it when I don't screen share. So I forgot to screen share earlier on, and I just blamed it on you. I said, "Oh, it's all Norma's fault because she doesn't want me to screen share." I'm just teasing a bit more. I'm just teasing a little bit more. Loving you. Just loving you. Yes, anomalies are most magical. Most magical. All right. On that note, I'm going to do a very abrupt exit here today and I end the live, although I'm going to stay on Zoom. If anybody wants to come on Zoom, hang out with me on Zoom, you're more than welcome to. All right. So, yes. Bye-bye, everybody. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. And hopefully we'll have Bina back here tomorrow. All right. End meeting. End meeting for